Hi everyone, this quick video is about John Dalton. John Dalton was an English chemist and a teacher for most of his life. He was also a public lecturer. He was a Quaker, so he lived a pretty simple life, and he's famous for developing the first scientific atomic theory. So this would have differed from the philosophers in that it was based on actual scientific evidence or experimental evidence. A couple interesting things about John Dalton. One of the things that he studied was color blindness, and so sometimes color blindness is actually referred to as Daltonism. John Dalton was very, very interested in meteorology, so he took copious notes on his observations of meteorological phenomenon. He would have studied the gas laws just as we did, so he studied Charles' law, or the relationship between the volume and temperature of a gas at constant pressure. And the Dalton of Dalton's law of partial pressures is in fact John Dalton. John Dalton developed the law of multiple proportions, and this law says when one element can combine with another to form more than one compound, the mass ratios of the elements in the compounds are simple whole number ratios of each other. Just look at the example below. Let's just say that we take 12 grams of carbon and you combine it with oxygen. Well, that 12 grams of carbon can combine with oxygen in two ways. You can make carbon dioxide, in which case that 12 grams of carbon will react with 32 grams of oxygen and make a compound. Or that same 12 grams of carbon will combine with only 16 grams of oxygen and make carbon monoxide instead of carbon dioxide. And one of the things that Dalton noticed was, if you look at the ratio of oxygen in these two compounds, 32 to 16, you get a small whole number ratio, or a ratio of 2 to 1. Another way you can think about it is, if we took a look at the ratio of the ratios, in other words, this 2.66 to 1.33, you get a 2 to 1 ratio, or a simple whole number ratio. This is one of the laws, along with the work of Antoine Lavoisier, the law of conservation of mass, and the law of definite proportions proposed by Proust, that led to Dalton's atomic theory. This is what Dalton's atomic theory said. Number one, it's impossible to divide or destroy an atom. Number two, all atoms of a given element are identical in mass and properties. Number three, atoms of different elements combine to form compounds, and these atoms have to be in definite whole number ratios. Finally, a chemical reaction is a rearrangement of atoms. So this would have been the first simple atomic theory based on experimental evidence. If you want to, you can watch a couple more videos on John Dalton and on an animation of the law of multiple proportions. It might help you understand it a little bit better. You definitely want to work on the Moodle assignment. There's a Moodle quiz that asks you questions about everyone you've studied so far, from the philosophers all the way up to Dalton. See you soon.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.